Welcome to the presentation, The Trade Deficit Destroying America by Citizens for Equal Trade. I'm a concerned citizen, Dr. Alec Feinberg, also the principal author of the book, The Trade Deficit, Illegal and Unconstitutional Effects Destroying America. We're going to start off with a statement that the trade deficit is much worse than the national debt problem, because the trade deficit not only creates national debt, as we will explain, but causes the selling of America. You can default on the national debt, which would be a terrible thing like Greece is probably going to do, but you cannot buy back a country that you have already sold to foreigners. What is a trade deficit? As a lot of people do not understand that. Trade consists mostly of goods and services. When imports exceed exports, you get a trade deficit. It's a negative balance. So mainly because the trade deficit in the U.S. is caused by goods, the sale of goods, where Americans buy more goods than we sell to foreigners. The net result is the trade deficit. As an example, in 2011, the trade deficit was $560 billion, a little over half a trillion. The trade deficit is also a balance statement on foreign ownership. The major financial destructive problems of the trade deficit are that it causes foreign ownership, causes national debt, creates unemployment, manufacturing losses, and encourages foreign cheating. All of these are certainly unjust, and they are borderline either unconstitutional and illegal, as we will explain. The trade deficit funds foreign ownership. The trade deficit is really a rough balance sheet on foreign ownership. Since 1971, the trade deficit has accumulated to $8.5 trillion. And this is an indication of how much more foreigners own of us than we own of them. Very roughly, 21% of all U.S. revenue-bearing businesses is now foreign-owned. Roughly, 31% of the national debt is foreign-owned. The disturbing thing is that 6 out of the $8.5 trillion occurred mostly in the last 15 years. You might say that the country you fought and died for is being sold at an alarming rate to foreigners, about 1.5% a year. At this rate, we estimate about 51% foreign ownership in the U.S. in 25 to 50 years. Does foreign ownership create proportionally jobs in the U.S.? Because this is one bottom line. Well, as of 2009, foreign-controlled domestic corporations employed only 33.5% Americans, while controlling 21% of U.S. businesses. Citizens for Equal Trade projects that this could cause about 35% unemployment by the year 2033. Why does the trade deficit cause foreign ownership? Well, the principle of free trade is that money must come back to the country of origin. So, for example, the trade deficit profits are in dollars, and dollars can't be used in a foreign country. Therefore, they must be reinvested in the United States. For example, if a Chinese company makes profits in yen, in dollars, they'll take those dollars to a Chinese bank and trade them in for yen, but the bank is stuck with the dollars, and they will reinvest and buy up, say, some portion of the national debt or U.S. businesses, etc. Another way to understand that this principle that money must come back to the country of origin is to look at some violations. Portugal, Greece, and Spain, which have a European crisis, are causing major problems, all have very large trade deficits. And in fact, when a U.S. company makes profits from them in euros, because they're part of the European Union, they don't have to reinvest and bring the money back to those countries. They can reinvest it, say, in a more sovereign country like Germany. Another problem is deferred taxation in the United States, where companies defer taxes to save money, and about $1.4 trillion is held overseas. So the money is not coming back to the country of origin in a timely manner, and this creates job losses. You might ask, if foreigners own 51% of the U.S. economy, which is a controlling interest, will Americans have lost control of the country? Is this unjust? Well, it certainly is. Is this a violation of constitutional law? Obviously a gray area, because the federal government does have a duty, obligation to remove foreigners, invaders from U.S. soil. So you say, what's the difference between being taken over by an army versus being taken over financially? Here's an example of up to 2007 foreign-owned assets in the United States versus U.S.-owned assets abroad, and the net effect is this negative downtrend that we own less of them than they own of us. And this shows you the foreign ownership in trillions versus the cumulative trade deficit, a very good correlation, which shows that the trade deficit does indeed almost 100% correlation fund the foreign ownership. And here's a polynomial fit to foreign ownership by year, and you can see the alarming rate that this is occurring at. So the main reasons is that the trade deficit causes national debt now is that it creates constant unemployment problems where the jobs are being shipped overseas. And when this occurs, you cannot collect taxes on wages from foreign workers, as well as the companies that are put out of business and lost manufacturing no longer pay taxes because the companies that are are selling us our goods today, manufacturing them, are located overseas, and they're not American owned. The trade deficit also correlates very well to the national debt, and the causality shows that the trade deficit causes national debt and not the other way around. Here's a slight indication. You can see the correlation in the raw data. This is the trade deficit in trillions of dollars per year, and the national debt. And you can see some correlation. Also, look at the alarming amount of trade deficit we have. Here's the recession. You can see there are many reasons for the national debt, but still one can affect the other. Here's an indication of the unemployment. Here's 25 countries and their unemployment rate. The unemployment rate given by the height of the bar. And the countries with trade deficits have higher bars than the ones with trade surpluses with lower unemployment rates. And if you look at the percent GDP, you can see there's a 72 correlation between balance of trade and the unemployment rate. In fact, this is pretty strong considering how complicated unemployment can be and many reasons for it. And of course, the causality study in our book. So, the trade deficit increasing the national debt is unjust because the trade deficit, after all, citizens have to pay off the national debt, which means that they're funding, in a way, the trade deficit problem. So citizens are also funding corporations, both foreign and domestic, because of this problem. Also, the trade deficit encourages foreign cheating. It's a form of organized crime, actually, because look at the currency manipulation by China has been estimated to cost 2 million of the 3 million jobs lost by the trade deficit. Counterfeit goods, estimated by CNBC, is now 7% of all global trade. And there's other problems as well. Balanced trade is far superior to free trade. It would obviously, eliminate the trade deficit, but stop new foreign ownership, the creation of national debt, stop foreign cheating, encourage U.S. manufacturing, provide a true competitive advantage, and ensure America's future. There is no trade agreement that says a country can't seek to balance its trade. In fact, if we can send a man to the moon, we can find a way to balance trade. Now, Citizens for Equal Trade believes there are legal arguments in this book, as well as that Congress has a problem understanding the trade deficit effects, and that they are not accomplishing enough on this problem. So we think a court case would help wake Congress up, even if it wasn't successful. If you don't have legal means, please sign our petition at citizensforequaltrade.com. Thank you very much.